Hello, welcome to Diminishing Returns. This week we are taking something of a break from the mould. We've done this a couple of times before where we've covered a video game franchise rather than a film, but in the past I think we've always done it with a franchise where there sort of is a movie to look at. And so it's something of a first, because this week we are covering Sonic the Hedgehog. There is technically a Sonic the Hedgehog straight-to-video anime thing that I guess we'll talk about briefly, but essentially we're just talking about the games, because there's a film coming out. So we'll see how this goes. I'm Sol. With me, as usual, is Alan.
Hello.
And joining us for the first time in a while is Mr. Connor Murray.
Yes, lads. How's it going? Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Connor's been drifting on a boat out at sea, but he's back.
Yes, he's lost for many years.
I am managing to keep up with pop culture as much as I can while I'm away in all these different countries. And, one thing that is truly universal here is how fucked the Sonic film is going to be and how much everyone is looking forward to it.
Oh, man. I mean, I was so excited for this film, but I have to be honest, I think Cats has taken some of the wind out of its sails. It can't compete with that level of just clusterfuckery. But anyway, Sonic the Hedgehog, a seminal 1991 video game mascot who starred in myriad of wonderful video games, followed by increasingly less good video games through to utterly atrocious video games, and now he's sort of in a weird, I don't even know what you'd call it. I mean, he's not what he once was. He's no Mario anymore. Used to be Mario's biggest rival. Those were the days. But his film might be better than Mario's, so, no Bob Hoskins in it.
Jim Carrey.
Apart from Chris Chan, are there any diehard Sonic fans out there?
Yeah. Mate,
But
I
why,
fucking
though?
love Sonic the Hedgehog. Why? Because Sonic the Hedgehog is a fucking fantastic game. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is a great game. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles it's one of the greatest games ever made. It's amazing.
Okay, because it all kind of passed me because I'm a PlayStation man. I'm PlayStation born and bred. The whole...
Well, this all predates the PlayStation.
Yeah, but that's it. I mean, then that predates entire generations of people who have no interest in seeing this film. Like, who is this film aimed at?
Yeah, kids.
Kids
are
this
still
film is
into
not
this
aimed
shit,
at adults. It's aimed at kids. Kids have not played Sonic, no?
Yeah, they have.
Really?
Kids love Sonic. They just love the shitty modern ones. They love the new ones. He's got cartoons and shit. Kids like Sonic.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Kids love TikTok. I don't think they love Sonic.
I reckon if you search Sonic on TikTok, you'll get some, Sonic fans shit.
Yeah, but that's done by, all the people who are kind of bronies, no?
Well, maybe, but, I mean...
Is that the target audience?
I mean, they made a My Little Pony movie, last year or the year before, didn't they? So
yeah, but I'm pretty sure
Somebody
My
markets
Little
for this
Pony people are probably, said, okay, guys, please don't make porn of this. This is for kids. I'm pretty sure they've had that communication with those people multiple times, actually. But what I'm just trying to think about is who's the target audience here for this film? Because looking at the trailer, it's very hard to tell.
Well, I think they're going for fans of Sonic, old and new, aren't they? And they're probably trying to generate a new audience who are vaguely familiar with him. It's got very broad brand recognition. I think a lot of people are kind of like, oh yeah, I know Sonic. I played that 20 years ago.
Do you think the travesty that was the trailer has actually added to the appeal?
Oh, for me, absolutely, yeah.
I know you're disappointed now they've fixed it, aren't you?
I genuinely am. I have no interest in a straight down the line Sonic the Hedgehog movie. No one does. no sane fan of Sonic the Hedgehog has any interest in seeing the fucking nonsense in those video games translated into a movie. You don't play those games for the storyline unless you're a maniac. But if anything, you play it in spite of Sonic's personality.
Well, can I like this as an episode is a bit more abstract because we're dealing with a sort of character rather than a specific film or anything. So
yeah, last time we did something like this with Cats. Very similar.
Well, yeah. Well, you wanted to do this episode. I said no. That's stupid. I don't like Sonic. I don't know anything about Sonic. So I'm very much coming at this as a voice of ignorance here. So tell me about Sonic. When did Sonic start? Why is it a thing? Why was it so popular?
Sonic, the first game came out in 1991.
It's a hedgehog, right?
He is a blue hedgehog. Sega ran a sort of internal contest within the company. They basically said, we need a mascot.
Uh-huh.
And I think a number of mascots were put forward, and the one they ultimately went with was Sonic the Hedgehog, little blue hedgehog.
I mean, he's described as a hedgehog. He doesn't look like a hedgehog or have any of the characteristics of a hedgehog. So
yes, he does. He's got spikes and he curls into a ball.
He hasn't really got spikes, though, has he? It's more like just a
spines, yeah,
triangle things on his back.
He's got spines.
Yeah, but Crash Bandicoot doesn't look like a bandicoot either.
Yeah, and Arthur the Aardvark looks like a fucking hamster. So
Taz the Tasmanian Devil looks nothing like a Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah. Does Super Mario look like a plumber, Alan?
Yeah.
Fucking racist.
But my kind of knowledge of Sonic is he goes very fast. This is you were talking about broad strokes character recognition, yeah. Blue hedgehog goes really fast, jumps up and collects rings.
Yeah, good.
Tails, fox with two tails and can fly like a helicopter thing.
Good, very good.
Is Knuckles a thing or is that the same?
Yes, he is. Knuckles is the best thing. That's my favourite.
Is there a black Sonic? Or is that Sonic 2 I'm thinking of?
There is Shadow the Hedgehog. He's more of a modern Sonic character, really. He's not from the classic era. He's from the Dreamcast era. But yeah, he is very firmly entrenched as a firm Sonic character now.
Well, let me tell you this. I mean, my game playing history is pretty sparse. But one game I played a lot was Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Okay, good game.
And I know that that's connected to Sonic because it was in the trailer for this film that I saw.
Yeah.
So Dr. Robotnik's a Sonic villain.
Okay, so Sonic the Hedgehog was a game made, and there was a franchise, obviously, a whole series of sequels. They made a number of cartoon shows off the back of. Then they kind of, in an example of Pop eating itself, the cartoon then got a spin-off video game. So Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine is a video game based on the cartoon Sonic the Hedgehog, based on the video game Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay.
If that sort of makes sense. So there's characters that pop up in it, and specifically the design of Robotnik in it is all taken from the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon from the 90s. But it has sort of been folded back into official Sonic lore. There was a wonderful game released a couple of years ago called Sonic Mania, which was essentially Sonic the Hedgehog 4. It was the same graphic style and gameplay as the old classic games. And the boss in one level was Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. You had to defeat Robotnik in a match of Mean Bean Machine to beat him. It's Mean Bean Machine's good. It's not very reflective of Sonic, really, in terms of gameplay.
I don't recall Sonic being a part of the game. I don't think he's involved.
Yeah, I think maybe he pops up in a menu somewhere, although I don't even know if he does, But, yeah, I mean, that is part of the Sonic franchise. It's a wide-reaching franchise. He's done all sorts. Perhaps it'd be worth doing a little game, Alan, to see if you can differentiate between what's Sonic and what's Schmonic.
Okay.
If I read out some characters here, tell me if they're real or Schmonic. So you got right. Number 1, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yes, that's the real thing.
Real, yeah, good. All right, number 2, Miles quotes Tails' prower.
Yeah, Tails was called Miles.
Tails.
I remember that.
Yeah. Very good. Knuckles the Echidna.
Yeah, that was one of the few things I remembered.
Okay, good.
I don't remember him being an echidna. Not sure what an echidna looks like, to be honest with you.
Bit like a hedgehog.
No, obviously.
Big the cat.
Big
the cat.
Big the cat. No, fake.
You're supposed to say Shmonic.
Big the cat.
Shmonic.
Big the cat. Big the cat is real. I think he's widely regarded as the Jar Jar Binks of the Sonic universe.
Is it a talking cat like that one in Pokemon?
Yeah, he's a big fat blue cat. When Sonic Adventure came out on the Dreamcast launched with this fishing rod peripheral controller, which was one of its big, oh, look at our amazing fishing rod controller for the fishing games. And so Sega were like, basically, Sonic guys, you've got to do something with this fishing rod controller. So they made this game, Sonic Adventure, where you could play as like 5 or 6 different Sonic characters who all had interconnecting storylines. And they added a character called Big the Cat, who he's mates with a little frog. The frog gets blown away or something, and he has to like just walk around the levels, find a big bit of water, and go fishing for the frog. And he sort of goes, Froggy! And then you have to play an interminable fishing game. It was very poorly judged, and the game stops dead whenever you have to do one of his levels. Anyway, that's Big the Cat. He's real.
Was it the Dreamcast that killed Sega?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Interesting. I remember all this stuff coming out when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I wasn't really involved, but my friends had them.
Yeah, as a hardware company, certainly, yeah. They're still going strong as software company. If anything, the Dreamcast's problem was it was ahead of its time. It was a bit too ambitious and too advanced, and
it was harder to make games for it. That's the thing.
But that's it. That meant that the machines were expensive and broke all the time.
Well, in what sense was it ahead of its time? I imagine I know nothing because
just in terms of hardware. So graphics, just general computing power. So that affects all sorts of things. For example, a game console might be able to render 10 bad guys attacking you at once, but then a weaker console might struggle if too many characters appear on screen and have to be pared down. So, and you know, it had all sorts of ideas that perhaps weren't as fleshed out as they needed to be. I remember there was a whole thing where you could download stuff into the controller, and the controller was like a portable thing. So with Sonic Adventure, there were these little virtual pet things you collected called Chow, and you could put one of those in your controller and carry it around like a Tamagotchi. And then, so yeah, it was an ambitious games console and perhaps a bit misjudged. The PlayStation was very much the VHS to a Betamax or a DVD to a Laserdisc, in that it was, you know, a much cheaper, more basic bit of kit that ultimately won out because that's what people wanted.
Part of the bigger story as well is that Sony and Nintendo were actually supposed to be in a partnership for a console, and then that fell out. And then Sony said, fuck this, we're going to make it a PlayStation. Took a bunch of intellectual property with them, made it easier to make games. So then Nintendo and Sony came in sync, like, you know, in terms of their generations. So that took so much like market base away because so much property moved over to Sony in that case. Yeah. And because then they moved in tandem and Sega was kind of out of sync with that, it didn't move in line with the generations of hardware.
In terms of power behind the console, the Dreamcast, it came out, you know, when the PlayStation and the N64 were knocking about, but it was more comparable in terms of power to the GameCube and the PS2. When the thing went out of business and Sega finally gave up, they ported a load of the games over to the PS2 and the GameCube, and you know, it wasn't like people were going, this game's graphics is shit. Like, they just seemed like PS2 and GameCube graphics. So anyway, all right, Alan, you ready?
Okay, yeah.
Sonic or Shmonic? Blaze the Cat.
Blaze the Cat. Okay, we've already had Big the Cat, so I don't think this is a real thing.
Blaze the Cat is real.
So what does this cat do then? This is a fast cat, right?
This is a fast cat. Yeah, this cat is like an interdimensional cat woman. She collects things called the soul emeralds, which were like a rip-off of the Chaos Emeralds that Sonic collected. They were just like, oh, we'll do some different ones.
Okay.
Alan, it would really help my inner control freak if you would actually say Sonic or Schmonic, please.
Just speaking of other dimensions there.
Yeah.
Most of my Sonic knowledge comes from Chris Chan. So, how many of these characters exist across the void in the other universe there, and are going to come and join us at some point in the next 28 years?
I think all of them, probably.
Mm.
I would imagine if it's a canon Sonic character, then it's a canon Chris Chandler character as well, by default.
So next time,
next
call
one.
it Sonic or Chris Chan, and see if Alan has which one's Sonic and which one's Chris Chan.
Okay. Espio the Chameleon.
Espio, is that a made-up name? That seems stupid.
Espio, espionage, camouflage, chameleon.
Oh, okay. Well, I've gone with Schmonic now.
Espio is a real Sonic the Hedgehog character.
Oh, God.
Mighty the Armadillo.
Mighty. That is not a name. No, I'm going Schmonic.
Mighty the Armadillo is a real Sonic the Hedgehog character.
One of these has to be made up.
Charmy Bee.
Is that a bee?
That is a bee.
Okay, yeah, that's real Sonic.
Yeah, okay. Cream the Rabbit.
Dream?
Cream the Rabbit.
I will not cream the rabbit. That's Schmonic.
That is a real character. And Cream the Rabbit has a chow pet called Cheese. Cream the Rabbit and Cheese. Yeah. Okay. Wild Solitude.
Is that the green one?
Yeah.
I think that's legit canon, isn't it? Yeah.
Punchy Solitude.
Yeah. These are all legit. I don't think there's any copyright issue whatsoever.
Oh, God. I mean, listeners must be baffled. If you are baffled, just Google Christian Weston Chandler. Just watch a few videos. Any at random should really get you started. So,
if people might not be aware, I imagine that our kind of audience demographic probably are quite aware of Christian. But
yeah,
from my point of view, apart from this Sonic film, the only thing I know about Sonic in the last 20 years, since like Sega was a thing, is Sonichu and that connection with Christian. That's my knowledge of Sonic.
Well, yeah, but you don't play video games, do you?
But are they still churning out Sonic games? Is it?
Yeah, look, Sonic churned out games. They got really bad, and then at some point, the company kind of went, "Look, we're tarnishing the brand." They took a load of shit Sonic games off the shelves, and they kind of made an effort, and they've sort of been pulling it back the last few years. There've been some legitimately good Sonic games recently. Sonic Mania, in particular, was fantastic. Yeah, there's good Sonic games out there, and that still sells very well.
What's the driving force that's creating this film then?
Well, I think they're just like, look, we've got this character with all this recognizable appeal. There's a whole lot of other video games making movies. We should do that.
But the video games making movies are not doing very well.
Yeah, Detective Pikachu did well. It did very well, no?
Yeah, there you go, Detective Pikachu. I think Detective Pikachu getting greenlit was probably a big part of getting this film greenlit.
Yeah.
I think they're probably aiming to get people like you, Alan, to kind of go, oh yeah, I remember Sonic. Well, maybe I'll download that Sonic app on my phone and see what that's about.
And then you watch the trailer and go, fuck no, I'm not paying for this.
They should have got Ryan Reynolds to do the voice. I think it was the big mistake
they
made there.
practically did, didn't they? Look, I just in case I haven't made it clear, I think Sonic the Hedgehog, the original video game, and Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles are absolute masterpieces of the medium. They are two of the finest video games ever made. I don't really have any desire to see that brought to the screen.
Yeah.
And I wasn't particularly excited for the Sonic the Hedgehog film. But then they debuted that trailer, and oh my god, it was incredible. It's this terrifying, semi-realistic Sonic with muscular legs, inexplicably acting up over Gangster's Paradise. It was just the most bizarre, misjudged thing, with Jim Carrey making a career comeback, apparently. a very, very misjudged attempt at a career comeback. Everything about it just looked amazing in a kind of so bad it's good way. And I love films like this. I loved Venom. I had a blast with it because it was so fucking stupid and poorly conceived. I went to see Cats the other day, and I mean, I'm not going to say I liked it exactly, but I feel like you have to see it.
You can check out our Diminisode on that if you're interested.
Yeah.
Available now, probably.
But I must say, I do think Sonic the Hedgehog, the new film, missed the trick by not going for freakishly photorealistic human faces mapped onto a hedgehog body.
Well, what's the character of Sonic supposed to be? Like, does this trailer match your experience in the games or no?
Well, yeah, pretty much. That is what Sonic's like. He's all like, "Whoa, dude, I'm from the 90s. Whoa, radical. You're too slow." Yeah, probably wears sunglasses. Like, Sonic's personality is basically he's annoying. He quips and he eats chili dogs. He likes chili dogs, and he's really fast. And that's pretty much as far as it goes. But obviously, in the games, you know, in the old games, you didn't get any of his personality whatsoever, apart from if you left him idle for long enough, he'd start tapping his foot and sort of being like, "Come on, we're going to play." Then as the games progressed and they started bringing in voice acting, they added a bit of that, but it was easy enough to ignore. But I think Sonic's very annoying, and I don't think Sonic fans even like him, to be honest. You know, I like playing as him on Super Smash Brothers, but part of the appeal is that you can really annoy other people by just making him go, "You're too slow! You're too slow! Come on, step it up! Sonic speed!"
Would I be right in assuming that there was a Saturday morning kids TV show of Sonic?
Oh, there were many. Yeah, there were.
So is that where his personality has been developed?
Certainly the chili dogs thing, I think, comes from the cartoons and has fed back into the games. Yeah, I think it pretty much is. I mean, his personality has been pretty consistent, honestly, since day one through to now. I don't think he's really changed at all.
So he's still a 90s kid?
Yeah, basically. I think he's meant to be 15.
But without genitals, so I mean, he's permanently fucked, you know, like, for eternity. I mean, does it go into that? Does he come from a planet? Does he reproduce or something?
Is that canon that he has no genitals?
Yeah.
No, I think I could definitely show you some pictures from Chris Chandler that would suggest otherwise. I think it comes out when it's needed.
Well, that wouldn't be underage pornography, would it?
Oh, God. Then the one I watched when I was a kid was Sonic Underground, which was a weird kind of reinterpretation of the whole thing. I guess it felt a lot darker than the games in that it really dwelt on the fact that he was Robotnik's turning people into these robots. But they added like siblings for Sonic and decided that Sonic was in a rock band and all this extraneous bullshit. Sonic Boom was the most recent one, which was it was developed alongside the games and a cartoon series at the same time. That was the one that made Sonic's arms blue that set Chris Chandler over the edge.
Sonic's arms aren't blue.
And that involved a whole load of redesigning the characters so that Knuckles became totally hench as well. Tonk, like Godzilla.
So why have they not done something before?
Well,
an animated thing.
Well, I think there's a limited appeal to the concept. You know, you can get a Saturday morning kids cartoon out of total fucking nonsense, but I think it's a lot harder to get a movie out of it that parents are going to take their kids to see, unless you've got like a massive mega hit on your hands, like Pokemon at the height of Pokemania.
But that's what Sonic was, wasn't it?
I don't think... No, Sonic was never that big.
No, Sonic never achieved that kind of level. Pokemon is a phenomenon. It's like an economy into itself.
Pokemon is still the the most profitable video game series of all time. Significantly so. Sonic might be in the top 10 maybe, but even that I wouldn't bank on it.
Yeah, it's one of the top recognizable characters, but it's not a literal GDP unto itself.
Yeah. Have you ever played a Sonic game, Alan?
I mean, I will have at some point, the old school ones, but I don't recall anything specific.
I remember it being very hard, but I don't think I was playing it on a console. I think I played it on an emulator.
I don't think it's much harder than other games of that era. I think games just used to be harder than they are nowadays. There was a different mentality to game design in the 90s. It was sort of born out of arcade machines and trying to make you spend lots of coins to keep going and trying to give you enough bang for your buck that a game that takes half an hour to play through, if you know what you're doing, ends up lasting a few hours. Whereas nowadays, games are really easy comparatively by design. It's quite easy to play a video game without getting a game over at all in this day and age, because people just realized it's not fun to die.
It's all loot boxes now. It's all gambling.
Yeah.
You said 2019 was the year of fan service to me the other day, so
I did, yes.
Well, Sonic is coming out in 2020 now,
Avengers
but it was supposed to be 2019. Do you think it's another example of fan service, of studios actually listening to the public and actually realizing it's a massive mistake?
Not to the same extent, no. I think the Sonic fandom is so bizarre and toxic and just weird. Like, there's people like me who just like the games, but there's like whole subcultures of weird, sexualized, draw your own characters. I mean, should we do an experiment now? I'm gonna
Rule 34 Sonic right now.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna search for Alan the Hedgehog, and I'm gonna see what comes up, because I think there will be one spelt your way. Yeah, we've got them. Alan the Hedgehog. There are multiple Alan the Hedgehogs. I'm going to give you a choice, Alan. You can choose which one you want out of these two.
Okay.
God.
I'm going to send this to you on the chat, Alan.
Okay.
So you can describe them to me. And Connor, don't go looking for you, because I'll send you one in a minute.
No, I'm going through the World 34 page now, man. Fuck me.
Right, Alan. What do you think of this? That's Alan the Hedgehog.
Oh, quite sexy. Feminine.
It's kind of like Sonic in sort of...
It's kind of got
olden day clothing.
What I imagine, like a sort of 17-year-old emo Japanese guy.
Yeah.
Quite feminine.
And there's another Alan the Hedgehog someone's made, which is this one.
That has a bit more of a 90s kid feel to it.
I'd say that's an early noughties kid, really.
Yeah.
That's like the first one, that's like an H&M hoodie and a baseball cap.
Yeah, I prefer the first
right.
one.
Yeah. Okay, I'm looking up Connor the Hedgehog, and I'm spelling it with one N to see it. Yep, Connor the Hedgehog with one N has come right up.
Good job.
There's multiple Connor the Hedgehogs with one N. But...
Yeah, but this Connor created this himself. So
I did it just for this.
Right, Connor. Oh my god, what have you sent? What have you done?
I did the. Hold on, I'm still taking photos of this stuff here. Jesus Christ.
What do you think? What do you think of the Connor the Hedgehog I've just sent you?
Hold on, no, I'm still sending you something like it's this freak thing. Jesus. Connor the Hedgehog is shite.
Does look a bit boring.
It sucks.
Well, I like that one of Rouge the Bat.
I'm not impressed with Connor the Hedgehog at all.
What about this Connor the Hedgehog? This is like a Trump kid, like one of Trump's kids if he was a hedgehog with a robot hand.
Yeah, that's like that's one of those incel things. That's what this is. This Connor the Hedgehog.
Yeah, okay. I've got another Connor the Hedgehog for you here.
This hedgehog probably describes himself as a classy gentleman.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got another Connor the Hedgehog for you here. Do you want to describe this Connor the Hedgehog?
That's more like me. That's more like me, definitely. I go to the gym.
What? So this is...
I like this one.
Do you want to describe him?
Okay, so imagine an A4 piece of paper, horizontal. This character has been drawn no taller than the bottom half, and is about maybe, I don't know, 1/6 of the page wide. So it's an odd use of space, in terms of your canvas. So it's small. In real life, it'd be about 2 or 3 feet tall.
He appears to be eating a lemon?
The
an
lime
acorn?
is green.
Oddly muscular, like a very muscular child.
He's so most of these characters so far have had like Sonic the Hedgehog, Shadow the Hedgehog body shapes. This is more like a muscular human being with like a wonky hedgehog head on.
He's wearing Y fronts.
He has a tuft of chest hair as well.
It's not chest hair, it's neck hair, it's collarbone hair. It's not chest hair. And with a terrifying human face edited in underneath the eyes and nose and cut and pasted into the hair, it's the scariest one you've sent so far, to be honest. I'm going to send you guys more Rule 34 to punish you for that. Here we go, here's another page for you. People really go into detail in this stuff, jeez. Look at that. Just look at that. Look at the middle top. Is that poo or anal beads? Like, what is that?
None of these are Sonic. What are these characters?
This is what Sonic's further down. If you start scrolling, then Sonic starts to appear. I'm probably on some sort of security agency watch list now.
I think we all are exchanging these Sonic porn that you're sending over combined with the Sonic fan characters.
Well, they kind of go hand in hand with all the Rule 34, because in most of the Rule 34 here, he's covered in semen.
Like James Bond.
Alan, if you had to bang a Sonic character, which one would you bang?
I don't even know what they look like apart from Sonic.
All right. I'm
going to send you one. Come on, Alan, you would have a go at that. Come on.
Fuck, marry, kill.
Hang on, let me see how... Yeah, I'd have a
Fuck,
crack
marry,
on that.
kill, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles.
I don't know what they look like.
You do? You know Sonic, Tails, Knuckles?
I don't know what Knuckles looks like.
Knuckles is Sonic, but purple.
Can you send me a sexy picture of them all? And I'll... Okay.
I just sent you one of Sonic and Shadow.
I mean, yeah, I could make that work. Are they eating shit there? Is that what that is?
It's blood, I think.
It's very brown. I don't know about that.
It says thanks for over 2,000 bloody page views. I think it's meant to be that Sonic's bleeding for some reason, and and Shadow's licking the blood off his wrists. So what's going on with Jim Carrey? Like, what's up with him? Have we ever spoken about this properly on the podcast? I mean, we did The Mask. I think we've spoken about how much respect we have for him based on his career in the 90s.
Yeah.
We did The Truman Show as well. We're on record as thinking he's a fantastically talented, funny actor.
I absolutely love Jim Carrey. 90s Jim Carrey was a genius.
But he's just kind of... It's all just a bit sad, isn't it? He's kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the fun uncle you have as a kid, and you think, wow, they're so great. And then you get old enough to kind of realise that they're an alcoholic and they've, like, not had a job held down for longer than a few months at a time.
They live with a bunch of penguins.
Yeah. But you kind of see through the cracks, and it's just very depressing. And it's weird, because this seems like a real attempt at a comeback, this role. But it seems like a very poorly judged attempt at that.
Thing is, I think Jim Carrey hasn't changed particularly. It's just that there's only so much you can do in that vein, and make it work. And he's done his serious side, and the ebb and flow of a career. It's all normal.
Like his talent is like physical comedy.
You say that in inverted commas.
No, like his talent is physical, outrageous comedy, and it's like this type of film is such an executive producer controlled film. And he's going to be undeniably just constrained by that, and that with an earnest desire to get back into this kind of role, maybe it's not a good combination for him.
It's just baffling in that he's nothing like Dr. Robotnik as he's ever appeared in any version of Sonic the Hedgehog ever before.
Yeah.
He doesn't appear to be trying to do it as Dr. Robotnik. it doesn't seem like there was ever any intent for him to do it as Dr. Robotnik. They just obviously thought, oh, let's just put Jim Carrey in it.
If you look at the end of the first trailer, Dr. Robotnik, okay, it's not fat Dr. Robotnik, but, you know, the appearance of Dr. Robotnik.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that'll be final shot of the film.
Yeah, in this film, I think that, okay, so Sonic's going to be the protagonist and stuff and all like that, but what all the fan theories, or what maybe the better story that could have been told, is actually the making of Dr. Robotnik as like a subplot here going on as well.
Well, that's what the film seems to be, the Dr. Robotnik origin story. That shot at the end of the trailer is gonna be at the end of the film. It looks like him in Mushroom Valley or something. So he's probably gone through the ring portal into Sonic universe, Mobius. What's it called? The Mobius Planet Mobius, something like that. But the thing is, I can guarantee you, it's not like Jim Carrey's gonna start doing a, you know, Dr. Robotnik voice. It's still gonna, like, he might be done up or bald with a big moustache, but he'll still be going, zing! A little blue hedgehog is getting on my nerves. Like, it's still gonna be Jim Carrey doing Jim Carrey, which is just odd. An odd decision. But, you know, whatever. I can't wait to see this film. I really can't wait. This film comes out for Valentine's Day. 2020 Valentine's Day. So, I mean, it's an obvious one for all the lovers to go to, isn't it?
Like, no amount of CGI rework is going to take away from the fact that when James Marsden walks into the room and sees Sonic for the first time, Sonic says, meow.
Cowabunga, dude.
Well, what I can't believe is they went away and said, we get it, we get you, we fucked up, we're going to change how he looks. And they redid the visual effects.
Is that quite an unprecedented move? That's a pretty big thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah. But I must say, I don't think they'd completed much of the effects at that point. I think it was less of a big deal than they kind of made it out to be.
So the trailer would have been just, they'd done that first, yeah.
Yeah. But still, that, you know, it caused the film to be delayed because they had to go back and redesign him and everything. And they obviously thought, like, well, what's 5 million on a film like this? The amount of goodwill it'll buy is worth it. And they're probably right, because they debuted a second trailer and reaction on the internet was bizarrely, like, really positive. And everyone was like, oh, they listen to the fans. He looks great now. This looks great now. And it was like, no, it still looks like a terrible, terrible film. But now he just has less personality and it's less funny.
Yeah, it's made it even more unique. Well, one thing that makes me highly dubious of even this reworked film is that in the new trailer, Sonic, I don't know why this stuck in my head, but Sonic goes through a bunch of Flash comics and he goes through them at the super speed. He goes through them at the supersonic speed. So not only can Sonic, you know, move at supersonic, like, incapable speeds, he can also ingest information at an accelerated rate.
Well, he must be able to, because otherwise he'd just run into walls all the time.
Yeah, so, I mean, how come Sonic isn't some sort of, like, godlike genius then? I mean, you know, if he can read hundreds of Flash comics
he's lazy.
in half a second...
Because he's reading fucking comics instead of, like, something educational.
He's lazy, yeah. He doesn't want to learn. He doesn't need to. He's had an easy life.
Well, this film has bigger problems then, you know? Like, not just the animation.
Well,
because that's all I'm going to be thinking. I'm going to be thinking this guy could have read fucking anything. And no, he's just fucking running around catching rings and shit.
Look, he's young, he's still learning. I think the film's biggest problem is that Sonic appears to be a god in that he's, like, indestructible. In the trailer, they fire, like, 100 missiles at him, and he goes all slow-mo version and just sort of, like, dodges them all. And it's like, right, well, you can't kill him then. You can't kill him.
What about if he jumps into water?
Ah, shit, yeah, he can't do it.
Like
he
Bruce
can't
Willis.
swim.
It's his weakness.
Yeah, he can't swim.
I really want to see this film, but I don't want to pay for it.
Well, I've got good news for you. It's called illegal downloading.
I refuse to financially support it.
But you are happy to financially support terrorism.
Sonic is a terrorist in this fucking thing. Sonic shuts down the entire electricity grid in, like, what, America? And he's not the bad guy?
Yeah.
Because he wanted to play fucking baseball with himself or something like that? It's the most irresponsible, stupid shit.
Yeah, he's young. He's got to learn. He's got to learn responsibility.
I'm sure by the end of the film, he's learned more responsibility.
How many people died in that blackout? in that electricity blackout.
How many people's lives were saved by that blackout?
How do you mean?
Like, there was probably someone who was someone probably had his head in an oven, and he instead of gassing himself, he was trying to cook his head, and then the oven turned off. And he went, oh.
And that man cured cancer. So
that man's name, Albert Einstein.
Do you think he'll deal with that in the film? Think he'll deal with all the deaths that he's caused?
Yeah, he'll be grieving. He'll be grieving for the film and trying to grow up. And Robotnik will probably play on it at the end and be like using it to manipulate.
And that's the thing. I mean, I really hope this is a good film for Jim Carrey / Dr. Robotnik. You know, that's totally the more interesting story to me here.
I mean, I think we're all ready for a Jim Carrey comeback.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
he's tried it a few times as well. You know, he Dumb and Dumber 2 a few years ago was an attempt at a Jim Carrey comeback. I feel like Kick-Ass 2 was something of an attempt at a Jim Carrey comeback as well before that.
At what point does an attempted comeback stop being a comeback and just becomes a string of bad films?
Well, I don't know. Eddie Murphy's had a similar thing, hasn't he? He kind of kept trying to do a comeback for a bit and then just gave up, and now he's kind of done it a little bit. He's at the start of a crest. I miss Jim Carrey.
Well, I've said everything I have to say about Sonic.
Yeah, same really. Sonic's great. The games are great. I hope there's some music from the games in there. Probably won't be. I reckon the band Crush 40, who've been doing the Japanese rock theme tunes for the video games for the last however many years, will do a theme for the new movie. That's the thing I'm most excited for.
If you had to make your Sonic film, how would you make it?
I would probably get Tom Hooper to direct, I think.
Okay. Keep your friends close.
I don't know. I don't think there's a way to do this to make a good film out of Sonic the Hedgehog.
I definitely would go with man in
animated.
A costume. Man in a person in a Sonic suit, like a furry kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, your best bet to actually try and do it legitimately is like an animated family film. But even then, I think you're facing a losing battle. So just go for broke, make something insane. I say hire Ahmed Best, who, of course, played Jar Jar Binks, to be Sonic the Hedgehog, motion capture. Who would you cast as Tails and Knuckles?
I would cast that sexy little thing I saw on the Rule 34 page. Let me find it.
I tell you who I'd go with for
Robotnik? Danny DeVito.
No, legitimate.
That's legitimate.
Suggestion. I would go with Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, I can see that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's not bad at all.
You know who I'd go with? Legitimate. This is again a legitimate casting decision.
Okay.
Bryan Cranston would be my pick.
Yeah? You would cast him in fucking everything.
Yeah, he would.
Although I've just realised that's another bald, mustachioed role. Might be a bit typecast.
For me, it's Jon Favreau. Come on, think about it. If you got Jon Favreau on board, you'd have a chance.
Get Vince Vaughn as the voice of Sonic.
What do you mean if you get Jon Favreau on board, it's a chance of a good film?
It is. It's a chance. It's not a guarantee.
John the Lion King Favreau.
John Iron Man Favreau. John Chef Favreau.
John Iron Man 2 Favreau.
Yeah, him.
Chef.
Did he have anything to do with the Avengers beyond the special thanks credit?
He's one of the producers, I think, like one of the driving forces behind it, yeah.
Were you special thanked, Sol? No. John Favreau was.
Yeah, it was.
Hasn't he just saved Star Wars? Isn't that his latest thing?
The Mandalorian. I wouldn't say exactly saved Star Wars, but yeah, you're onto something there. He did.
Are we talking about him as a director, though? I mean, are you saying you want him to direct? I'm talking about him as an actor.
I want him to be on board as a project. I mean, he could act as Dr. Robotnik, but act / executive produce like he does every now and then.
I don't want him as Dr. Robotnik.
I think if you want to
like
make
Bryan
a good
Cranston.
Sonic film,
I don't think
he'd have to be a choice. He'd need to be on board somehow because he knows how to make a successful franchise.
But then who'd you get to be Sonic?
Oh, just some prick. Doesn't matter.
Frankie.
I'd get Joseph Gilgan and let him keep his Chorley accent.
Oh no, you get James Corden, Sol. That's what he wants.
Oh, fuck off. Michael J. Fox would be a good voice for Tails.
All right.
Do you not think?
I don't know what Tails sounds like.
Well, traditionally he sounds like a woman doing an 8-year-old boy voice in a cartoon.
Well, Nancy Cartwright then.
And Knuckles, I'm going to say Keith David. I want Keith David to play Knuckles.
Okay.
Kevin Bacon, is there room for him somewhere?
Oh, God, absolutely, yeah. He's the kind of guy... I bet he was, like, second or third on the shortlist to play Robotnik in the film as it happened. This is the problem. Like, how do you get a big star in a Sonic movie? You've got Robotnik, that's your one human actor. Then you've got the human friend who doesn't exist in the franchise that you have to crowbar in there, which everyone's going to hate. It just doesn't work, does it?
No, it has to be animated. The whole thing has to be animated. And just talented voiceover cast.
I think at best with an animated film, you're going to get a kind of Angry Birds level CGI kids movie.
And you're saying that's good?
No, I'm saying that's your best case scenario if you adapt Sonic the Hedgehog into a movie. I don't think it's doable.
If you stick to your guns in the real world, then I'm a huge fan of what Detective Pikachu did. In the fact that it's not an origin story or anything. You know, it's just that's the world. So if they do it with the real world, then... like, you know, Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, the lot, they need to be already established. And then you've got a chance of working within it. But as it is, it's an origin story, which means you need a sidekick to introduce him and stuff, and it doesn't work.
You know, I updated my top 100 films of 2019 earlier today, and Detective Pikachu is no longer on the list.
Oh-ho!
Did not chart.
Okay. Okay, I have to admit, I only saw 1 hour because I fell asleep on the plane, but I did like the art.
See you next time, guys. If it's Valentine's Day, does that mean we're doing a big Valentine's Day special next week, Alan?
Yes.
That means we're going to do something sexy. Something maybe even sexier than Rouge the Bat.
I don't think there's anything sexier than what I saw today in Rule 34.
Ooh.
With Sonic lying in a puddle of his own semen.
I don't know if I can wait till next week. Oh, God. Yeah, right, next week, Valentine's Day. Last 3 years running, we've done 50 Shades of Grey trilogy. This year, we threw it up to the Patreon subscribers to vote. So we'll be doing a selected sexy movie, all with porn in it and boobs and dicks. All right, bye.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Bye.
Later, dude. Whoa.
Gotta go fast.